welcome, Tara. Thank you, everybody, for going through that little moment of technical bliss for a second ago. So, Tara, thank you so much for joining me to talk about what it has been like, in this process. Finding representation is such a journey for any actor. I think it's one of the things that can be a conversation with yourself that's like, is this ever going to happen? And you always feel like you never get to go on the playground. You're just like outside the playground because you're always doing the thing like trying to get a manager or agent, which isn't actually even doing the thing, right? Just feels like you're left out in the cold, right?
Totally.
So congratulations on signing with the manager. Also, can you, thank you for joining me today, and just really, I want you to feel as honest as you can be about this process for you. And to be very transparent, everyone, Agent Goals is coming. And I wanted Tara to come on here so she can tell you how she did it. And so you can help you make a decision if Agent Goals might be right for you. So Tara, just share your results and tell us the story of how you landed your manager.
Yeah. God, what a journey, you know what I mean? It took a long time, but it was totally worth it. So basically, like, working through Agent Goals and just like kind of getting down to that really like beautiful, vulnerable side of who you are as a person. And putting that out there, out to managers and agents that you think might be right for you. Obviously giving them, your wins, your headshots, your resume, reels, all of those things. But really, I think the difference with this was being able to give them more than that. Like, this is what I do, in my job, but this is who I am. And I think that was a lot of it, the difference that it made. And then I started getting meetings like right off the bat. And I was like, whoa, this is so weird. This is so different from anything I've ever done. And it was really cool because I was put in a position where I got to choose who was right for me. And I had agents and managers pitching themselves to me. And I was like, hold on, what's happening? I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. Like, this isn't real. Yeah, and it was amazing. And it actually took 2 weeks for my current manager and I to connect. And when we did finally connect, the way she spoke about what she saw in me and the way she spoke about how she wanted to move forward, with my career and how we could work together to make that happen. I was just like, this is what I need. She also happens to be a manager that's kind of more like an agent manager combo, which for me, based on where I'm at in my career, is kind of the right move, because I'm looking to get those credits that can move me forward in a big way so I can have bigger representation. So this just felt like the right move.
Got it. I mean, I want to say one of the things that I think is probably surprising to everybody listening is, I just got really, really vulnerable. And that, like, I think what we're expecting you to say is, I got new headshots and I worked on my reel and I went to acting class and I got a bunch of good credits for myself. Like, that's kind of what we expect you to say.
Right.
Hold on one second, because I just got a message from Summer who said she's not seeing anything on Facebook. So I just want to make sure it's all working.
Yeah, of course.
Let me just check 1 second here. I'm going to refresh here. I see it happening. So I think we're okay. She's slacking me again, just making sure. I don't want to, it just started. We're good. Okay, great. So now we know there's a little bit of a lag time on doing a Facebook Live like this. And so we're all learning together. So thank you. So just kind of bring us back to where we were. Yeah, I think we expect you to say, I had to get credits and then I had to puff ourselves up to get the match. So can you tell me a little bit more? Because what you're saying, I think, and what we're hearing you say is, I got really vulnerable, and that's what attracted managers. Can you speak into that a little bit more?
Totally. Yeah. So like, I've done send outs before in the past, right? And I remember having that feeling of like, okay, just be really like simple, like don't really put energy or your personality into the email, like just make it really like blanket statements. They don't have time to care about who you are until you get the meeting, right? That was my thought process.
Wait, say that again. I think that's so important and vital. Say that one more time.
Yes. So my thought process was, they don't have time to care about who I am until I get the meeting. Yeah. So that's how I was approaching it first when I had done send outs like 3-4 years ago. And the feedback was always, no, not now, or none at all,
Hmm.
most of the time.
Silence is what you mean, like silence, right?
Exactly. Silence, right? Which is just
Painful.
so painful. And for me personally, I mean, I think a lot of actors, right? We're beautiful, heartful people, and we take things so personally in that regard, especially in terms of our careers. So it was always just this feeling of like, I know that I have something to offer, and I'm so frustrated that they can't see it. And I think the biggest thing about Agent Goals that changed everything for me was just like, no, they need to see who you are before they can ask for the meeting.
Mm.
They
Mm.
really need to get it. So like your personality has to come out in this email, and they have to feel connected to a human being, not a computer, or not, a copywriter who just like
Sure.
wrote out this email, but isn't any part of you. It's just boring. People do it all the time. It doesn't catch anyone's eye. It's not interesting. And it's just really inauthentic. And that's not who you want to be anyway.
Right. I mean, what you just said is so important. I think that it's boring. People aren't going to notice anyway. It's easy. What I'm hearing you say is it's easy to say no when there's not a lot of person in an email like that. It's very easy for me to say no when it is a receipt. Here's what I've done in my life. Boom, 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 boom. I can say no. It's very easy for me to go, no, not for me. Or even click on your link, let alone look at your stuff, I think is what I'm hearing you say. Right.
Definitely.
So I'm going to like you said, actors are heart-centered people, and getting vulnerable with a bunch of strangers, not so easy. What was that journey like for you as you kind of went in there and made decisions? You have to tell me, what you decided on, but like, as you were deciding, what am I going to reveal? What was that like? Did you wrestle with that? Was it a quick process for you? Just give me a little bit about how that worked for you.
Yeah, it was definitely not a quick process. Kind of like the intro to the email was a little bit of a quick process. Like my first line, I was just kind of like hearing other people talk about what they were doing or hearing other examples. And I was like, oh, light bulb, right? So I'm a singer-songwriter. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I slow you down? Sorry.
Yeah.
Right. I'm also trying not to talk on top of you at the same time. So you may see me smiling and not making faces. So what I'm hearing you say is by hearing other people's examples inside of the course, you were hearing like, oh, I get why that's going to work for her. And I get why that didn't work, why that won't work for him, and why he needs to change that. And so you were able to say, oh, so I need to go a little further. I need to get a little bit more. Got it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it was like, it was a ton of inspiration and a ton of different examples, which is also really helpful, right? Because you're not just pigeonholing into one way to do something. It's like, okay, so this person decided to go this way, and this is why I feel like this works. And this person kind of decided to go this way. And as I was saying, I'm a singer-songwriter, and a lot of times what I do is like lyrics will pop into my head and I'll like record them into my phone or I'll write them down, right? So kind of similar with being vulnerable in this way, this line popped into my head and I was like, oh, that could really work. So I wrote it down really quickly. And then I did not come back to write my email for like 4 weeks because I just wasn't there.
So tell me what that means. You say I wasn't there, because it sounds like you had this beautifully inspired moment and then you're like, but I am not ready to live into what I just discovered, this discovery I had, this creative idea I had. Tell me about that.
So it was kind of, again, it's for me like writing a song. It's like, I don't push it. So when the initial inspiration happens, I let that be. And then if things continue to flow, great. But the inspiration happened to me during the class. So I was like, okay, I'm going to write this line down and then I'm going to come back to class and like pay attention because I like to do things on time. You don't have to, but I do. And then, the course happens and it's once a week. So I was like, the next week I was like, oh, I didn't come back and do anything. Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to continue on.
No, wait, I want to pause. I'm really going to, I'm keep going in here and interrupting you.
Please.
You also you knew this about yourself, that I want to be on time and I can get in a relationship with being accountable. And, an online course is its own animal, which is different than being in person where someone's got a ruler to slap you on your hand. Well, hopefully not. Right. I do my own version of getting you riled up and ready to go inside the course. Right. But can you speak a little bit about this? Because I feel like it's the perfect moment to talk about how you like got yourself to be accountable. Can you share that too? We're going to go through this journey and I'm just going to keep making rest stops along the way.
No, totally. I love that. So I decided when I committed to the course, like I'm going to show up every week on time when we have class. When we have discussions, like whatever the timing is, I'm going to show up. Luckily we were in a pandemic and I didn't have a job. So that was fairly easy in terms of like just getting there. So I was able to do that, but I also knew that there was work to do and that we were in a pandemic and I was going through lots of things just like most of us. Right. So I was like, I'm going to show up to class on time and it's okay if I didn't finish my homework from the week before. It's
Great.
okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a huge, and I just want to just say that's such a huge piece of, I think, the learning that you're supposed to get with a course like this, because I'm not just asking you to staple papers and put things in envelopes. I'm asking you to do some deep work. And so that deep work, I don't get to decide the universe's timeline for your personal growth. I can't police, my calendar can't dictate your personal growth, right? So I love that mindset you brought. Like, I'm going to show up to class no matter what. I might not actually have the homework done from last week, but I'm going to show up because I want to get the learning that's there. And then I'm assuming some magical alchemy happens where they all kind of tied together at some point. So as I know I slowed you down on that piece of your story, but to bring us back into when you kind of felt like you were coming back on track with that brilliant idea, like how did you know, like what showed up for you?
I went back to that inspirational first line.
Yeah.
I kind of got to the place in the homework as I had gone back through and, was but going through. And I was like, okay, it's time to tackle the email. Like, let's do this. And I went back to that first line. And I think I even ran it by you in class actually. And I was just like, how does this feel for you? And you gave me feedback and that was really helpful. And then that kind of was able to catapult me into working through the rest of it. And I added things in there that I love, like sports themes, because I grew up playing sports, things that just are really me. And I wanted to make it feel like I was saying it to someone, like they were hearing my voice talk to them through the email.
Right.
And that was really helpful.
Good. And Tara, I want to just pull apart here because, we're talking about this, people are listening, and I'm sure there's some people out here going like, so wait, is it just about writing an email? Can you speak to, I see you shaking. I mean, what else is it? Because I think there's a lot more that goes into this. So can you so the email I experience as a product of the growth that you go through in the program, right? And if you were to say let's say you were to pick one part of Agent Goals that helped you the most, what would that be and why?
Ooh, going through our stories and finding like our uniqueness in our stories. And it's interesting because it's something that I've constantly been working on myself my entire adult life. So it's something I was like, oh, like this will be really easy for me. Like this will be really obvious. And even though when I got to the end and I realized what it was obvious, but I had never been able to put words to it before in the way that I was because of Agent Goals. So that was so helpful in allowing me to show up for myself in a very different way and to forgive myself for the ways that I had been showing up in the past that weren't working.
Wow. I just what you're saying, Tara, just is really gratifying to hear you say that this is the journey I'm hoping someone has inside the course, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about getting managers and agents, guys. This is not necessarily the way that we talk about this normally, right?
Yeah.
So what I heard you say, and I might do this poorly, so correct my words, but I want to kind of underline this for everyone, which is, I felt like I was, I had it together. I kind of knew what my story was. I had a sense of it, right? Because I'm a person who's a seeker who looks at herself. I'm a personal growth kind of person, right? And but in going through the process, I found parts of myself or parts of my story that I had orphaned off because I didn't have language for them. And by having language for them is why I attracted the right person.
Yep. And
it's still new. I know this is still a new manner, yes. Right? So, right. Yeah. So, I mean, but what I think, you don't get, I don't like to use, I find myself often using romantic terms when we talk about managers and agents, but I just want to be very clear, you guys, I'm not an advocate for anybody getting romantic with their manager or agent, especially in the age that we're in. Right. But what I'm trying to say is like, you go to the altar and you're going to say, I do. And so you live into that marriage, I put in quotes, with that manager agent with the assumption of positive intent,
Yes.
generous, right? And so that's the land you're in your honeymoon in a great way. And I think, you can have a honeymoon for a long time. What I don't think is important tonight, you can tell me where you're at with this, because maybe you'll need a little coaching on it, is the idea of, okay, I'm in the honeymoon right now, so we're going to see what happens when the other shoe drops. Like, that is not the mindset that I want you to go into. So tell me, where are you just in that process right now?
Totally. Yeah. So I signed my paperwork with my manager, I think maybe like 2-3 weeks ago.
Congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you. Super exciting. And then after I did that, so just to give you a little backstory, in order for me to get there, we had a phone call that was about 40 minutes.
Right.
And within that phone call, the majority of it, she was just hardcore pitching me.
Whoa.
Like just like flying off, like talking about all the things. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. But I didn't get a ton of words in because she was really trying to like, get me on her roster. So still great conversation. I loved what happened. I wasn't upset about it. And I knew that once we started our relationship, I wanted to hop on Zoom and have like 15 minutes where we just get really clear about what we're going for.
Yeah.
So she doesn't submit me for like something that I'm not going to do.
Right.
And then she looks bad and I look bad, and
I have a question because I want to really get into this. So when she met with you, she clearly was pitching to you, meaning like, please be my client, is what I'm hearing you say, right?
Yes.
And did you get a sense that she knew who you were before you showed up to that meeting? I'm just wanting to capture, okay, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with not only the email, it's the combination of everything, right? So it's the email, it's the reel clips that I chose, which by the way, I only had 2 reel clips, and they were, my reel in total was like a minute long.
Got it.
A self-tape that I felt was very connected to characters that I want to play. So she saw me clearly.
Because she saw, what I'm hearing, she saw you in the email because you showed up, and then she saw your work because you put your work on the line, is what I'm hearing you say.
Exactly. And I put the work that I believe most resonates with who I am as an artist. Right. So like I made a very distinct choice to show her specific work that I want to lean into.
Right. So where you're going, work of where you're going, not just what you've done. Right. Which sometimes I think that's why a reel can actually work against you.
Right.
Because I think a lot of actors are like picking reels from the crap they shot a while ago, and it's not actually who they want to be as an actor. And so then it's just not putting them in the right, attracting them right. So do I think a reel can be a problem sometimes? Thankfully you had a couple clips that were actually workable, but even then there were just a couple. Right. Right.
But I have like 10 reel clips, and you know what I mean? Most of them I was like, bye.
Bye. No.
Bye.
You may have answered this already, but help me. What did you learn about yourself in this process? Did we already answer that, or is there a different answer to that?
I don't know if we did. So yeah, we can answer that for sure. It's one of those things where it's like more evidence that I can absolutely do anything, which I think is so huge in this industry, because I've been in LA for 12 years. It took me 12 years to get a manager, which doesn't feel good, right? If you like sit in that, it really doesn't feel good. So I've been playing this game for a very long time. I've been running this marathon for a long time. But there's something inside me that's always like, Tara, you can do anything. And it's not silly, and it's not grandiose, and it's not you being out of your mind. It's you knowing who you are. So it just gave me like further evidence and proof that like, yes, girl, this is who you are. And the universe is helping you out as long as you help yourself out and be who you are. Like show up that way all the time. Yeah. If I'm trying to show up the way I think someone needs me to show up, then I'm not going to be genuine, and they're going to see right through it or not be able to see it at all.
Yeah. I love what you're saying here, because it's this weird paradox that I think we hold, which is I think the whole course holds a paradox, which is Agent Goals is a way to reach out to managers and agents. And yet if you just did things as someone else told you to do and you filled it in like a robot, you wouldn't be showing up. Right. So I think if I can toot the horn of Agent Goals for a second, it isn't saying you must do it this way. It's saying you must be in this for this to work. You have to show up in this. This isn't the way that Tara did Agent Goals, is not the way someone else who's watching right now might be you do Agent Goals. Right.
Absolutely. Right. And it's like, it's a formula. It's an example. It's a possibility. It's like, it's opening the doors and giving you a way that you've proven has worked for many, many, many people. Yeah. But the way that it works is that the only way that it works is you being real with yourself and with the people that you're reaching out to. That's
so wait, can I just tell you something? If I was in this course, the first assignment I would skip would be the one that you talked about in the beginning.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm like, I've done enough personal work. I don't need to do this. Da, 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 da. What do you think is the danger of someone not doing that in this course?
Oh man, I wanted to skip it too, because I'm just like, Brian, how many times have I told these stories? I don't want to be a victim. I'm over telling this like sob, blah, blah, blah. Right. Yeah. So I think the danger is that you're going to keep playing the same game you've been playing, which is like right here. It's like right in the middle. It's not that dangerous. It's not that scary. It's like, yeah, I'm here. I'm playing. I'm doing it. But you're not soaring. You know what I mean? And like, if you want to do that, if you want to move up and move forward and level up, there has to be kind of a come to Jesus moment, right? Where it's just like, okay, we got to get down and dirty. And we got to look at all this stuff, even things that you think that you've dealt with and that you think that you don't need to think about anymore. Those things made you who you are, period. So you do need to do those exercises and work through them and have people, you know, tell you how you're showing up, because we get lost in here so often.
Yeah.
Right. And we stop connecting to the heart, except in our characters that we play.
Yeah. I love one of the things I'm hearing you say, and I want to connect this to you actually showing up to some of your meetings in a second.
Yeah.
But first I wanted to just say, what I hear you saying is like, we can all live with like the dull ache of not exactly getting what we want for a long time.
Yeah.
And like try to write it off as it's the business, or write it off it's that ex-boyfriend, or write it off like it's my mom. I mean, it could be, we can just stick in that real great. And what you said is there needs to be a reckoning, you know, where you have to go back and say, there are parts of my life where I needed to be parented.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to parent myself in those moments. And those stories have held me back. So I'm trying just to connect this for you. You had more than one meeting, I think, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did this connect to the way you showed up to those meetings? Did it connect in any way for you?
Absolutely. Yeah. I was so clear about what I wanted in my relationship with my manager or agent. I was so clear about what I needed to hear from them. And I was so clear that they needed to get me. And if
that feels ballsy. I got scared when you said that. Like, right? I feel like a scary thing to say in a meeting. Tell me a little bit about how that manifest.
This was amazing too, Brian, because I got to the point before I started having meetings, but I got to the point in Agent Goals where I was like, I don't care if I have to say no to every single person that's saying yes to me. I don't care.
Yeah. What does that mean? I don't care. Tell me a little bit more. Cause
it means like, it just means that I haven't found the right fit yet. And I would rather go representationless than be with an agent or manager, which has happened to me before, that didn't get me. And that wasn't really working for me. And that didn't like know when they were looking at a breakdown, yes, this is Tara. Mm-hmm. Yes, this is Tara. Right. But they're trying to put me into a box that they created because I wasn't vulnerable enough, or I wasn't myself enough to show them, no, this is what's up and this is where we're going.
Do you think you had the dignity of being able to say no before that work?
No. I was constantly in this like, oh my God, please say yes to me. Oh my God, please say yes to me, right? This desperation, this almost begging, which sounds terrible. And it's not like I was begging in the emails I sent before, but that was the energy that was out there, right? It's like, I'm like, oh my God, please someone see me, someone see me. And it's heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking. And I was terrified. I was terrified sending my first round of emails. I was like, I'm going to be the only person in this program that doesn't get meetings and doesn't get representation. Like that was my thought process.
So wait, I just love when you say that, because this is something whatever you're listening for right now, if you're listening to this, is there is something that happens for creative people, and it happens for actors a lot. And I understand it, where we have terminal uniqueness, and our situation is so unique that we will never have success we will never be able to have anyone else. The success that someone else has will never be mine. Mm-hmm. I will never be able to, like, you know how you're told things like, when you get comparison, just remember like their success is your success, which always feels like a bunch of BS that doesn't really work for me. Right.
Right.
If if we're to get a little more sophisticated around that, there's something around this thing where we do this thing like you just described, right? Where this terminal uniqueness where my success will definitely not look like anyone else's. It's going to be an accident. It's going to be a mistake. My story can't be like what you said inside of the program, that someone is saying to themselves, I'm going to be the only one who this doesn't work for. Yeah, totally get it. I so get that story being told, right? That story inside, right? My question here for you is, I love how you said that you were able to like, I'm no longer begging. And it wasn't that you were begging, but it was the energy of begging was in there, right? So I am sure there are people who are listening right now who are where you were at the beginning. Can you just describe what it was like? You said 12 years, which is probably, that feels uncomfortable to say even probably. And maybe now it feels a little different. I don't know. There are other actors who are listening right now who are 12 years, 2 years, 5 years in, feeling that same, I hate going about this, feeling like I'm begging. And that's the part that really breaks my heart, is like, they've been told, this is how you do this. And so do it this way. And they're banging their head up against the wall because it's not working. And it is so easy to hold up a mirror and say, it's because of my resume. It's because I don't have a reel. It's because my headshot isn't good enough before you're able to connect the dots to how do I put my talent first, which is what I think is what's so difficult. Because you know that when you meet an agent and they've just seen you on stage or they've seen you perform, like, you always know there's that energy of like, oh, we're connected. And so all these other things are like, please evaluate me on the receipts, which is what I tried to not, right? So for those people who are watching right now, who are listening, I'm sorry, for the people who are listening right now, who is in the same place you were before, what would you say to them?
Oh man, let go. Jump in and get ready to take a big risk, and just get ready to like be the version of yourself that you always wish that you were being in these moments. I think that Agent Goals just gave me like a framework of like, oh, I'm allowed to be Tara. I'm actually allowed to be exactly who I am, which is sarcastic and funny with some of the best dance moves you'll ever see on a dance floor. You know what I mean? I'm just like, my energy is allowed to come out. Like, I don't have to sit here and say, hi, so-and-so, here's my Actors Access profile. Here's my LA casting profile. Here's my reel. Let me know what you think. Ugh. Like, I just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just not enough. It's not enough for them who don't know you, who've never seen you, no referrals. It's not enough for them to go, oh, that's interesting. I didn't expect someone to say that, right? It's like, no, man, like, put yourself in the game and like actually tell them exactly who you are and exactly what you want.
Right. Right. I mean, and I'm sure that I appreciate you saying, because I'm sure there are other people cringing saying, oh yeah, I have sent that email.
We've all sent that email.
right. And we're like, I'm being really ballsy because I'm sending a short email or something, right?
Right.
And to me, that is just the epitome of reducing you to only your credits, only your reel, only your resume, which are what Agent Goals has created, that you don't have to have any of those things to make it work, really. Yeah. You have to know how to act. Okay, let's just be clear. You do have to know how to act.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there, and I mean, this has been really, Tara, this was really helpful for me to hear. So I really appreciate you getting honest about this. I have, one more technical question. Yeah. So it sounds like you got your responses on your first push out of the boat. You didn't need to do any of the follow-ups at all. You got
no. Okay. So I did a follow-up. Yeah. Which, you know, like you guys will learn in the course, like it's different things for different ways that happen throughout. But so I did a second round of follow-ups. I did not end up needing to do my third round of follow-ups. So I did my first round of send-outs, follow-up, and then from there, I was like, I've made a decision. Yeah.
Great. And you know, what you just described is so important. So I think when people will hear this, they'll be like, oh my God, follow-up. And what does it look like? Like, don't worry. It's very clear. It's calendared. I tell you exactly what to do, what to change the subject line to, all that. So what I don't want you to be going in here, guys, is getting stuck on any technical stuff. I want you just to see how Tara navigated her way through this. And I think that's a beautiful way of describing that. And then also, Tara, what I want to make sure you didn't miss is how you're like, no, I've made my decision. Like, that is such a good moment, because I'm sure you've seen this on some of our calls where an actor will be like, well, I sent out my emails and I met with someone and I love them, but should I send out the rest of my emails now? Like, I always thought, if you found the person, this is not an agent goals
Right.
to get a lot of agents. It's to get one you love, right?
One, yeah.
The difficulty I think that a lot of people are facing, I mean, I'm sure you heard Sharon talking in our call last week, like she had 30 meetings, right? And like, the goal of this is not to have 30 agents, right? So the bad thing about agent goals is you might get a lot of meetings, is what
right.
right? So the reason I like that is I want actors in the power seat.
Yes.
You do not want actors to be having their careers happen to them.
Exactly.
Right? And when you land with a person, I want it to be a person who you have a relationship with, where it is a partnership. We actually get to have the conversations, right? Where they get to lead you in this thing, right?
Yeah.
So Tara, what's next for you? Tell us.
Oh, that's such a good question, Brian. What's next for me is that I land my first co-star role before 2021.
Yes, I love
Actually,
it.
I would prefer it be a guest star, but we'll see.
I'm going to just advocate for you to say guest star from now on.
Yes. Yeah.
It'll keep that part of you that's shown up really big and bold and beautiful.
Yeah. I just got new headshots, so very excited.
Oh, I love it. Do you want any of our actors to follow you or find you on social media?
Yeah, of course. You guys can follow me on Instagram. It's at tbabygold.
Awesome. And
That's
Tara's
the way to
Instagram
go.
is really sweet because she sings songs on it too. She's a really cool. I love it.
I do.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for making this time for me today and for making time for us and for letting me know even more about what the experience is like inside of this course. I did tons of surveys and testing and all that stuff, but it's so much more powerful to hear someone who's gone through it and what it has done for you. So I just appreciate you. And I'm so grateful for your time today. And also congratulations on landing with someone who sounds wonderful. And we can't wait to see you in your guest star. Make sure you let us know.
I will. Can I say one more thing about
Oh my gosh, of course you can. Yes.
Okay, cool. So one thing that I think is one of the most helpful things is that we have this accountability through our Facebook group. And that's really the thing that got me to the point of where I was, because I was very stuck. I was very paralyzed. And I hopped on a call with Brian and I was like, Brian, I can't do anything. Like I can't, I can show up to calls, but like the homework isn't getting done. And it's not like I don't have time, but I'm not doing it. And he was like, okay, like put what you want to do like in the Facebook group and we will hold you accountable. And for me personally, he knows this, but for me personally, that really worked. And I would not have gotten where I was without that. So the group itself too is so valuable, and the ability to ask questions to like this amazing, heartful group of actors, including Brian as well, is just a phenomenal piece of the course too.
Right. I love what you're saying there, Tara. And I want to underline it too, because I think that no one ever says yes to a course because of the community. I'm putting in quotes. I was like, yeah, I need an agent. I don't care about the community. I just want to get it. Like, it's not right. And in the work that we do in this program is it's so deep. You sure as heck need somebody next to you to say you're doing a great job, or you can show up and say, does this look any good? What do you think about this particular thing? And I love you saying that you leaned into that and used the group in that way. And you know, an online course, like we said before, energetically cannot feel as much like I'm going to school on this day at 3:00, right? And so the ability to say, hey, I need some accountability, that there is a crew of people who are just as impassioned about your success as you are, is rare to find, right?
Yeah.
And I will say the community that Agent Goals created is a very loving and supporting one, so that you can go through this deeper work. And also, let's be honest, some of the work is a little bit of like tech stuff, a little bit of tech stuff here and then in this, right? Which people have to learn, you know, and this way we can support each other through those parts too. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Go out there, book a guest star, let us know. We will be following you at tbabygold on Instagram. And I will see you soon.
Okay, sounds good.
Take care. Love you, babe. Bye-bye.